So we're just coming to the end of VMware Explore 2022. Been a great conference and sad it's almost over because it's gone so quick. Barry, what was the sort of standout thing to you being back here at the conference this year?
I think obviously during the last 2 years these conferences have continued to try and go ahead kind of thing, and I think everyone has done a fantastic job considering the fact that we simply couldn't meet together. And whilst content was able to be shared, I think what was really missing was that heart, that community, the ability to get a feeling more than just the presentations, but actually what's going on underneath it all kind of thing. So for me, that's what being in person at a conference like VMware Explore 22 has meant for me. It's that reconnection with the community and what's going on. Sort of, how about you? What have you thought?
Yeah, definitely. The community, obviously, a big part of it, and there's so many familiar faces. It's been really nice to just walk around and see people you know and catch up. I think the key thing for me is when it is virtual, it's so hard to immerse yourself. An email comes in, someone messages you, and it's really, really easy to get distracted by that. Here, an email comes in, that's all right, I'll deal with it next week, that's not my problem. So it's just really good because you learn more and you just absorb everything, whereas I really found that hard to do virtually. So it's been really good to do that all here.
Definitely, and I think there was quite a lot of people, even on the main stage, that they were talking about community, about the purpose of this event being about community, and I think that has quite a wide meaning, community. When we're in VMware circles, we tend to talk about the VMware user group or the vExpert community, but for me, VMware Explore is about much more than those communities themselves. It's about the wider ecosystem, it's about the partners, it's about the employees, it's about bringing everyone together. And there was a question actually posed in the press conference that we were in, all around the sort of cloud chaos and who is responsible for cloud chaos. And I think even VMware took a bit on the chin that actually the vendors are a bit responsible for cloud chaos, constantly pushing forward, constantly kind of telling people what they should be doing next, when lots of people are kind of trying to play catch up. But it's at conferences like this that you can actually cut through what the vendors are quite rightly trying to put into the markets, create shareholder value, and what actually is being used in real life. So I suppose next, as we kind of go on to the sessions, what kind of stood out for you from the sessions, general session, etc.?
Yeah, so I think the whole conference, that whole message around Cloud Smart has just resonated throughout every session I've been in, whether that was one of the Microsoft sessions I was in. Everything that they were saying was reflecting exactly what VMware said around that Cloud Smart strategy. And I think that's really important because I think if you look at a lot of people I've seen that we work with, etc., when they say they have a cloud first strategy and you actually dig into, so what is that? I don't know, that's the buzzword, it's cloud first, that's what we're told we should be doing. I think this cloud smart approach is really good because actually it allows people to actually look back and be really strategic as to what cloud means for their business rather than I'm just going in all cloud. So I think that's the thing that stood out for me most, that actually VMware are changing the sort of thought process around cloud and actually making it, I feel like, more accessible and more strategic for everybody in general, and that resonated throughout every session I was in.
Yes, I think that point about sort of being cloud smart is really important. I think we've really seen a change in actually what cloud means. I mean, and cloud has and always has been just another location. But the traditional kind of barriers or concepts have now been broken. VMware used to be about on-premises, Azure used to be about in the cloud. But we can now have VMware running in AWS or in Azure. We can have Azure running on Azure Stack HCI, or even on some components inside vSphere. Those barriers have really been broken. So what people now really need to do is be concentrating on what does their business need, what their applications need, what their people need, what is the value that they're trying to create, and then pick the right tools for them doing that. And obviously we attended the Microsoft session as well, and Megan, you did a blog post all about Azure Arc and the Azure VMware solution. So I think there are lots of options available, whether that is you're buying fully into the VMware ecosystem and wish to run VMware everywhere or parts of the VMware ecosystem everywhere, or maybe you've got VMware on premises and you're going for Azure in the cloud, but you want to bridge those two together with things like Arc. So I suppose the only bit we haven't really spoke about is the solutions exchange. What was your kind of, what did you kind of take away from that tour of the solutions exchange?
Yeah, so it's always really good to go around the Solutions Exchange, and again, I think that's something you really miss when it's a virtual event, so it was really good to go back to a solutions exchange. But the bit is, it's really good to go and talk to all of the VMware partners to learn what they're doing, not just in conjunction with VMware, but as a company themselves, to help their customers, what's new, what's coming, and all of that. But I think like the key thing for me was, traditionally when you used to go around the solutions exchange, it was all the VMware partners, and you wouldn't see someone like AWS or Microsoft there because they were rivals at the end of the day. It's really good to see those companies almost partner up together, come together, sort of be in that expo hall to help the customers regardless of what technology they're on. So seeing those companies come together for an event like this is really good, and it just brings everybody together for that.
I think one of the main changes that I've noticed over and above Microsoft and AWS taking part in the conference is how much the actual content of the stands has changed. Going back even to the last VMworld that we attended here in 2019, there were still big racks of hardware on most of the stands kind of thing, and being a true techie, I love seeing flashing lights and the hardware in a rack. But I think Pure Storage is about the only one that I've seen with a small, 20U rack on the stand. There's very little hardware on the stand. We're now in the cloud era. I think that is also a challenge to some of the vendors. As you go walking around the hall, I felt that some of the stands were lacking that reason to actually go into the stand to see what was going on. There's only so many cloud consoles you can see on a screen that entice you in. I think that's a challenge for our industry. I think that's a challenge of how we bridge the gap, how we entice people. There are some really good examples there of where people are making really interactive versions of their software, so you can really kind of understand it and get under the hood to see what's going on. But I think an important part that maybe needs to evolve for these types of conferences is that interest, is that an immersion from a vendor perspective. So I think that's really probably our summaries. There was lots of good parties, obviously Simple Minds last night. I know they're one of your favourite bands, Megan. But we did say they were easy listening and some good songs that we all knew kind of thing. So I've really enjoyed my VMware Explore experience. I don't know if you've got any final thoughts.
No, just that it was really good to be back, really good to catch up with everybody. I'm sad it's over. It really did go quick this year. It really flew past, but time flies when you're having fun. So no, really great conference. I'm glad to be back, and I look forward to the next one.